Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. So let's just jump into it. Today we're going to be talking about Halloween. Now Halloween typically is a time of the year that I thoroughly enjoy. The leaves changing colors, pumpkins and shit, and especially dressing up, though I haven't really been doing that this year for obvious reasons. That's not what this video is about. The thing about Halloween is that I think that progressively, or at least repetitively, every year there is some kind of scandal, especially in terms of costumes. Even though there are some people who seem to have no common sense or half of a brain cell, I think most people realize that there are some costumes that cross the line. It's always been that way. For example, dressing up like a Nazi, dressing up like a Holocaust victim, things that people still do to this very day. I don't know how to explain to you why that's wrong if you don't automatically get it. I don't think there's any saving you at this point. I think you're just too far gone. The faith in humanity is already so low. I'm just gonna laugh so I don't like cry or scream. Netflix made the show about Dahmer. I actually talked about just that show in a video. What do you think people are dressing up as? So there are some pictures circulating online of little kids dressed up as Dahmer. I find this an extra degree of creepy, worrisome, inappropriate, disrespectful, because first of all, Halloween should be a fun time for kids, right? The whole point of a kid dressing up for Halloween is to enjoy what they're doing. Do these kids know who Dahmer is? Do we think that the children understand the racism, the connotations, the message being sent about the LGBT community, just the entire nuance of what happened, because it is very layered? Do you think your kid understands that? A. And B, truly find me one 5-year-old who goes up to their parents and is like, yeah, I want to get dressed up as Jeffrey Dahmer this year. I've seen multiple examples on social media, like you can see here, of little children dressed up like that. This kid with a bloody shirt, the Jeffrey Dahmer style glasses. I want to know how you got this kid to dress up like this, and what you told them they were dressing up as, and how you contextualize that in a way that doesn't scream to you, hey, maybe not. Like, imagine your kid asking you, I don't know what kind of brain, if any, the parent is using to say, hey, this person killed a bunch of people, this person traumatized people, traumatized families. Let's dress up a 5-year-old as that. That sounds like a good idea. And now you can make the argument, hey, it's not that big of a deal, there are worse things happening in the world, which there always will be, so if that's the rule, we might as well just talk about nothing forever. But I do think that this is dangerous because it's kind of turning everything into, so what, don't take it so seriously. And it's like, okay, well, if there's something to take seriously in life, wouldn't it be the murders of people? Wouldn't it be serial killers murdering people? Shouldn't that be something that, you know, we don't have to make lighthearted? Just so what? You can show your other parent friends that you're edgy and watch a show about Dahmer. Like, what are you trying to say? Like, that's also what I'm wondering. What are these parents trying to indicate? And imagine going to someone's house, then maybe having some poor innocent parents opening the door being like, oh, okay, what are you dressed up as? And the parents say Jeffrey Dahmer, and then what the fuck are you supposed to say to that? I'd think they were kidding, first of all, but then I remember that we live in the cursed year that is 2022. But truly, what are you trying to prove? Because it's very high school to try and show that you're edgy and not like the other parents, let me tell you. So I found a couple of posts on Twitter, a couple of posts on Reddit, a little bit everywhere, because of course this is circulating a lot, right? Please just imagine the conversation between a kid and parent. You have a kid down here who's like,
Mom, Dad, like who is this? Why am I wearing this shirt that has red on it? Is this red juice? Is it cranberry juice?
And then you have a whole ass adult right up over here being like, you're Jeffrey Dahmer. What do you say after that? How do you explain it? How do you tell your 5 or 7-year-old or like 1-month-old, 10-year-old, I don't know, how do you tell them, oh, well, actually, Jeffrey's someone who liked to kill people in the LGBT community, if they even know what the LGBT community is, and he also liked to kill people who were minorities because he knew that the police wouldn't look into it as hard as they should have. So that's you. That's who you're being right now. Do you want to go ask for some candy? I always think it can't get worse, and then I wake up and there's a new day, and guess what? Congrats on being an edgy parent, I guess. Have fun explaining that when your kids find out who Jeffrey Dahmer is. Last thing I'm going to say about this whole Jeffrey Dahmer situation is that there's this one picture that is circulating as well that went relatively viral. This kid has a bucket with chopped limbs in it. I don't know what they were going for, but a lot of people on social media read these limbs as black, as in the skin tone, because some of it to me looks black, like it was almost burned, so I don't know if that's what they were going for, or if they were going for like black skin to indicate or to remind people that Jeffrey Dahmer killed. If you're gonna go to the level of detail to be like, haha, good old Jeffrey killing people who are part of minorities, killing minorities, so maybe the police wouldn't really look into it as much as they should have, so maybe they would have just brushed it off, so maybe there wouldn't be a media outcry immediately. Isn't that funny? Let's just throw these fake limbs into a bucket and have them be the skin color that we're just going to pretend is us being true to the details, but really that has some social implications that are very troubling, namely racism. I want to know the decisions made about these costumes. So I was looking on social media to see what people were saying, right? So I came across this Reddit comment that says, I have no problem if someone wants to dress their kid up like Freddy Krueger. It's not something I do, and I think it's weird to dress up a kid like that, but at least he's not real. Jeffrey Dahmer was a real life pervert, murderer, cannibal. He's not a character from a show. His victims' families are still around and probably dealing with a lot of trauma right now, in particular with the show coming out. It's thoughtless, tasteless, and sick to make Dahmer into a character instead of remembering what an absolute monster he was. I completely agree with this, and the next part I was going to bring up related to this comment is the families are still here. Now, regardless, even if the families aren't still here, I still think it's inappropriate. But I think it's so compounded by the fact of you are posting this thinking that you're posting it to your group of moms, dads, close friends. Really, it's also likely that a victim's family is going to see this. Now what? Do you still feel real good about that? Does that still seem like your edgy, fun, quirky little costume? Can you imagine that being turned into a costume that's sold at a Halloween store? The person you loved being dead? That's a costume? If that's not a costume for you when you imagine it, why should it be a costume for the victims' families? Why should they be okay with it? Why should it be lighthearted to them? I would love to be enlightened because this is some real bullshit. Then I saw this tweet, and I can't confirm this. I looked around, but to no real avail that I can say is official anyway. The victims' families have expressed how triggering and uncomfortable this is for them, yet it's still on Netflix, and what's worse is there are people romanticizing and making it seem like Jeffrey Dahmer is just a fictional character. This is obviously in reference to the show, and we know that in reference to the show there have been reactions. This quote was, however, put in an article about costumes of Jeffrey Dahmer, so I don't know if what's being referenced as triggering and uncomfortable is solely relating to the show or as a general thing of representing Dahmer, whether that be in costumes and in the show as well. I can't imagine that any family of a victim would be happy about this or would even be minutely okay with this. If all of my reasoning so far falls flat to you, doesn't make sense to you, so on and so forth, please at least just think of the families and how they would react. Would you actually feel comfortable going in front of a victim's family with your 5-year-old dressed as Dahmer carrying a bucket with black chopped off hands and feet with blood? Would you feel comfortable going with your kid dressed like that in front of a victim's family? And I think that goes for a lot of costumes. If you can think of a scenario that is directly connected to your costume, whoever you're representing, it being uncomfortable, there's probably something wrong with it. Just saying. Last thing I'm gonna say in this little moment of rage, your kid has her own interest, right? I'm sure there are cartoons, characters from movies, all of these things. These all already exist. So the whole concept of dressing them up like Dahmer becomes even more ridiculous considering the fact that it's not a ready-made costume. You have to go and get this shit. Like, I don't think they're making bloody shirts for 5-year-olds at any old Spirit Halloween. So you're going to this type of length to even find little glasses that look like Dahmer to fit a little kid's face, when there are costumes that your kid would actually like and understand that are pre-made and sold specifically for your kid. Also, imposing something on a kid when it's supposed to be their choice what they want to be for Halloween. It's supposed to be fun for them on top of everything. So you're not only doing this huge disrespectful thing towards the victims families, but you're depriving your kid of something that's supposed to be fun for them. So again, this is really about parents trying to make a statement about themselves. The statement you're trying to make, I promise you, you look like a moron. 100%. Never gonna change, no exceptions. If you want to dress up your kid as Dahmer, you're gonna look like a moron, okay? None of the parents are gonna think you're cool, I promise. And if they do think you're cool, probably not the best people to be friends with. That was my rage. You guys can let me know what you think in the comments down below. Let me know if you already have seen some really fucked up costumes, because God knows I have. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you to my patrons as always, and I'll catch you guys next time.